With the NBA season coming to an end, we're down to just 2 teams. I've been thinking more and more about trades we could see this offseason. So today, I wanted to look at 5 trades that as an NBA fan base, we should all want to see. If you guys liked the video and want to see me do this for NBA draft night trades, let's try to get 4,321 likes on today's video, and let's hop into it. I want to start this off with Ben Simmons. I've been thinking about Simmons a lot recently since the 76ers lost to the Hawks. It's crazy to think about just how different his value is right now compared to a couple months ago. From everything I've seen up until this season, it was really a 50-50 split from the community on who was more untouchable between Simmons and Embiid. Even I was torn, which is just laughable to look back at. Having a point guard that just lives in the dunker spot on offense, who is afraid to shoot the ball, but even worse, is afraid of the free throw line. I really think Ben Simmons' unwillingness to take shots, especially at the end of games, stems from his fear to go to the line, which is going to be a major red flag for teams looking at possibly trading for him. We're seeing these reports that Doc Rivers and the 76ers are dedicated to working with Simmons this offseason on his shooting. But come on, we know what this really is. They're trying to save as much value as possible. Now, there was an interesting development when it comes to a Ben Simmons trade recently, as they declined an offer from the Pacers that was Malcolm Brogdon and a first-round pick, which was definitely a solid offer. He averaged 21 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds, shooting 39% from 3, but he struggled to stay on the court consistently. So we now know that the 76ers aren't going to give up Simmons for nothing, but I really think it's inevitable that he finds a new team before the start of next season. There's a lot of trade possibilities thrown out there, but my favorite trade to this point, and one I really think is great for both sides, is a deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves. The reports have been flying in that the Timberwolves, quote-unquote, badly want Simmons, which gives me confidence this isn't too far-fetched. Now let's start with what a trade could possibly look like. It's a given that if this deal happens, it's most likely going to include D'Angelo Russell. The 76ers are going to ask for more, and there's going to be 2 options. The Timberwolves could add more young assets or draft picks, but given the 76ers situation, that probably isn't of much interest, so I think we'd most likely see Malik Beasley added on. There's a few landing spots I love for Simmons this offseason, but the Timberwolves are definitely the top one. One of the biggest struggles for this Timberwolves team is defense. Ben Simmons is going to come in, immediately bring that to this team. He's legitimately one of the best and most versatile defenders in the league. Despite him being listed as a point guard, on offense, once he gives the ball up, he becomes a front court player. If that remains his play style, I can't think of a better player to be alongside than Karl Anthony Towns, who's going to spend a lot of the time on the perimeter. I also think this really raises the ceiling of this team, especially if Simmons can get closer to his potential. We know the player that Karl Anthony Towns is, but this team also had one of the best draft classes from a season ago, headlined by the #1 pick, Anthony Edwards. He averaged 19 points a game, but really turned things up at the end of the season. And once Cat returned, the team looked pretty solid. For the 76ers, you're getting perimeter scoring threats. It's going to be hard to go deep in the playoffs, depending on Seth Curry to be your main perimeter threat. D'Angelo Russell definitely has his flaws, but he's going to help solve that problem. This year, he averaged 19 points, shooting 39% from 3. Malik Beasley could also be huge. This season, he averaged 20 points, shooting 40% from 3. He still has 3 years left on his deal, so the 76ers are going to have to add some kind of contract, most likely through a sign and trade to really get this done. These two combined for 16 3-point attempts on practically 40%. Now, the issue with this trade for the 76ers is defense. You're giving up one of the top defenders in the league in Simmons for 2 guys that aren't bringing much defense to the table. Beasley was considered a solid 3-and-D guy early on in his career, but as his offensive volume has increased, his defense has slipped quite a bit. There's no doubt about it, this trade will put a ton of defensive pressure on Embiid, but it wouldn't necessarily have to be their only move of the offseason. Now, I've seen some interesting 3-team trade possibilities that would bring Ben Simmons to Minnesota and players like Kyle Lowry and Malik Beasley to Philly, so as the rumors heat up, this should be a fun storyline to follow. As a bonus, if Simmons isn't going to go to the Timberwolves, I would really love to see a deal done with Chicago. I really just don't want to see Zach LaVine on the Bulls anymore. His situation really reminds me of Devin Booker. He's putting up 27 5-5, shooting 51% from the field and 42% from 3 on high volume. I truly believe he's not getting the respect he deserves, and that would change overnight going to a contending situation, something he's never been a part of. Next up is a Bradley Beal trade. He's been in a ton of rumors for well over a year now, but with him being on the last year of his contract, it's extremely hard for me to imagine him wasting another year in Washington, so I really don't think he's going to be in a Wizard uniform at the start of next season. Over the course of this past year, I've thought about a lot of landing spots for Beal. There's a couple teams that come up over and over again, such as the Warriors and Miami Heat, but recently, I've been stuck on a certain landing spot, and that's a team that just fell short in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Atlanta Hawks. Bradley Beal this year averaged 31 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, shooting 49% from the field and 35% from 3. The Wizards were able to squeak into the play-in tournament, but there's really no hopes for them improving with Russell Westbrook's Supermax contract on the books. He's owed $44 million this season and has a player option for $47 million after that. Being on the last year of his deal at 28 years old, I really think Beal's going to want out. Seeing this Atlanta Hawks team be much more ready to compete right now than almost anyone expected really makes me think they might be the perfect fit. The Hawks don't have a lot of cash to give out. They gave big deals to Bogdan and Gallinari last summer. They need a true number 2 guy, and this might be their best opportunity given the lesser value that comes with trading for someone on the final year of their contract. When you look at this team on paper, there's a ton of really solid guys that a trade almost makes sense just in narrowing down their rotation between young guys like DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, John Collins, who's going to be getting a new deal, and Onyeka Okongwu, plus having all their future first-round picks, plus a lottery-protected first coming from the Thunder next season. I think they're actually one of the best positioned teams to get something done. Next up, we've got a player that I never really saw leaving his team, despite their struggles to really break through and become a contender, and that's Damian Lillard. Lillard has remained loyal to the Blazers when practically everyone has told him not to, but recently, he's been hinting at possibly wanting to move on, and it makes sense. He's given everything to this team, but now at 30 years old, he's probably looking to put himself in a position to compete for a title. I really believe Damian Lillard can be the number 1 option on a championship team, which just makes these rumors even more exciting. This year he averaged 29 points and 8 assists, shooting 39% from 3 on over 10 attempts a game. It really makes sense to jump ship at this point. McCollum is locked up till 2024, but Norman Powell could decline his player option and leave this summer. Joseph Nurkic and Robert Covington only have 1 year left on their deals, and Carmelo Anthony and Enes Kanter are both free agents. It's hard to find a scenario where this team improves in the near future. Now, a deal for Dame is not going to be easy. He's one of the best players in the league and is on contract till 2025, which is why I think it's absolutely ridiculous you're seeing rumors about teams like the Lakers. The only scenario imaginable that I see Dame in a Lakers uniform is the Blazers respecting Lillard's decision and they work with him to go where he wants. But at the end of the day, this is a business and the Lakers aren't going to come close to the packages from teams across the league. There's 2 teams that are super interesting that I think have a good shot and decent odds to get something done, and that's the Warriors and 76ers. They're going to come up a lot, and rightfully so. But I think my favorite landing spot is the Pelicans. The Knicks have been given the best Vegas odds, but it's hard to find a team that can put together a better package than the Pelicans. They can build a package around Brandon Ingram. The Blazers are going to get a player 7 years younger than Lillard, who's on contract till 2025. He just averaged 24 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds, shooting 47% from the field and 38% from 3. They've got some other solid young guys like Jackson Hayes, Kira Lewis, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, plus a ton of picks. This season, they've got the 10th overall pick in the draft, plus 4 second-rounders. They hold all their future firsts, plus several others coming from the Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday trades. This team is probably in the best position outside of the Thunder, who will have no interest in a Lillard trade, to put together the best package possible. You're pairing Lillard with a superstar in the making in Zion Williamson, who in just his second season averaged 27 points and 7 rebounds a game. Sure, a team like the Warriors sounds crazy to think about, but as a fan, I think this is the best possible spot. My last trade that I've been thinking about a lot has to do with Colin Sexton. The Cavaliers hold the 3rd overall pick, and it looks like that's going to be Jalen Green. Green is good, and trust me, you're going to want to see him play. I really don't want to see him fighting for a starting position with Garland and Sexton still in the backcourt. This team needs to trade one of those guys, so trading the 6-foot shooting guard who can't play defense makes the most sense. Now, when thinking about landing spots, you've got to be careful. He needs to go to a team that has multiple playmakers. He needs to go to a solid defensive team. He is coming in to score on the ball, and to his credit, he does that well. This year, he averaged 24 points on great efficiency, and just his 3rd season. I'm really liking New York as the best landing spot. New York is looking to get active this summer, and if they strike out on the big names, I don't hate them going after Sexton. I don't think it's going to be too high of a price tag. They were one of the top defensive teams. They've got solid playmakers at multiple positions, such as Randall and Barrett, so I actually think Sexton could help this team that's going to need on-ball scoring, especially with Derrick Rose and Alec Burks potentially leaving in free agency. But that's the video, guys. I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, make sure you like and subscribe, and peace.